Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see if those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, little housekeeping, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed, and also these pop culture chats. Now, let's get into it. You saw I don't know if I put the thumbnail up there or not, but let me see if I can find it real quick for y'all so y'all can see it. But the title of the thing is Moral Authority. We're talking about Andrew Schulz, Kendrick Lamar, and black male podcasters. Now, to add to this particular title that I didn't add, let me find it real quick. Black women always disrespected. And so let me get into this. You know how I do. Sometimes it's easier for me to go live than to try to record this video and all this other stuff. Because I don't know why I seem to do better live than recording, because I'm always flubbing when I'm recording. Let's see. Here we go. That's my thumbnail. That's what I'm working with. We're talking about, because recently here, I think the discourse. Now, I will be telling you honestly that a lot of this discourse I've seen on YouTube and I've seen on TikTok. So I want to kind of go over this discourse, and I want it coming from my perspective as a black woman. So I want to come through from that lens, from what I'm seeing from this, and maybe there's some lessons that we can learn from each other in regards to this whole big old thing, this big old debacle. Now, why are we here? So Andrew Schulz. Now, I'm just going to give you some background information as I remember it and I see it. Andrew Schulz is a comedian podcaster. I think he does stand up and all of that good stuff, but mostly he is a comedian podcaster. And he has a couple of shows on YouTube. I know he does a show with Charlemagne the God called Brilliant Idiot. I think that's what it's called. He's done shows with again Charlemagne the God called Brilliant Idiot. He's done he's got another podcast where he's on with several different comedians. I don't know their names. I think some people are in the rap game. I know that there is an Asian guy on there, there's a white guy on there, and there is a black guy on there. So I do know that there are several different guys on this particular show. And on this particular show has where he has geared up a lot of controversy. So let me just kind of go back. So why I have it on here, Moral Authority, Andrew Schulz versus Kendrick Lamar versus other male podcasters. And you do see that I have shits and gigs on this particular thumbnail. And the reason being, because a couple of months ago, Andrew Schulz, and at that point, it was the two, one biracial and one black Nigerian guy, on the Shits and Gids podcast. That's James and Fuhad. James is the lighter skinned guy. Fuhad is the darker skinned guy. So a few weeks ago, and I think it's been about a few weeks ago, they were in a lot of controversy because they had, so let me just kind of backtrack what they did. So they are a popular British YouTubers. They have a show called Shits and Gigs. They do reactions. They talk about pop culture. They review things like Love Island. They do quizzes. So they have it's like a variety show from what I have pretty much looked on there. And I think a lot of people in the beginning enjoyed Shits and Gigs podcast because it wasn't like the rest of the male podcasters that were talking about or where they make their bones at the hand of discussing Black women. Their dislike of Black women, whether these women are working, whether they're not working, whether they're submitting, whether they are doing all of these little different things. A lot of podcasters make their thing. Now, those are Black male podcasters. Please do not mishear me. This the same way that a lot of white podcasters, particularly white female podcasters, who make their bones by agitating Black women, saying something outrageous because they want the engagement and the response. And Lord have mercy, I have tried several times to tell my sister, stop always going over and trying to plead your case. They don't really care about your case. They're wanting to make their bones in this social media space, and they want to make their initial bones by controversy, getting people to come. And so they know the audience that they want. And let's be clear, you are not, Black women, the audience that they want. They want the audience that finds glee and delight at seeing you be berated, be humiliated, being told that all the things that you do is not worth anything. So I need for you all to understand that, Black women, that is what happens. They make their money off of your emotional payout. So whether you're distressed, whether you feel like you want to be in an educator and educate people on some stuff, whatever it is that you're trying to do, they're making their money off of seeing and making sure that your pain, off of your pain, off of your strife, off of your insecurities, all of those things. You'll hear, and this is a stream. Again, I am coming from a Black woman perspective, and so that perspective may cause for some people to be a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. That may cause for you to think it's okay. I can only speak from here, and I can only speak from my heart, and that's where I'm going to speak from about how I feel about how this discourse is going on. So they had this podcast, and one of the things I guess they were trying to do was to increase their audience. So they did a tour. So Shits and Gigs did an American tour, and they hit a couple of sites. They went to Two Ladies podcast in Atlanta, and they had a bit of controversy. Not a whole lot, because people have their preferences, and that's not what I'm here to talk or dog out. But they had said that they didn't find any baddies in the Atlanta area, any Black women that were cute or baddies in the Atlanta area. Okay, fine. A lot of people got upset with that. I was like, okay, fine. I know you lying, but okay, fine. So then, they were on several different podcasts, from what I understood, that they went on several different podcasts. Now, the one that shook their audience was when they went to Andrew Schulz podcast. Now, Andrew, let me see. I want to get back to showing you there. So Andrew is the person with the mustache in the middle. They went to his podcast, and they were talking about different topics and all kinds of things like that. Nothing was really upsetting until the point they were talking about the Black woman effect. Now, if you're not familiar with that was a little trend on Twitter, where they would say, like, the white guys that were dating Black women would come and show their before picture and then show their after picture, where they're dressing different, they looked more kept, they seemed to be very happy, and all of these other things. And so they had been calling this term hashtag Black woman effect. And they Shits and Diz went on there and they were talking about that because there was a lot of little other things they were talking about, because he asked them if they dated black women, and they was like, yeah, we date all women. Then they started talking about this black woman effect, and then Andrew Schulz went into this tirade about there's no such thing as a black woman effect. These black women will beat down a man, and they were talking about all these other different things. And I mean, he was just kind of going in, and I have not found that clip. I know it's out there. I haven't found it. But I wanted to do this and move on, just give like an overview. So they did this little clip, and the two black guys, there was another black guy who again, he is a host on that podcast as well. They were all laughing and giggling at this man berating and talking about black women. Now, he puts it under the guise that he's a comedian and it is a joke, right? So I'm going to put that pin in there. He puts it under the guise as he's a comedian, has a joke. So the fallout from that is that, again, a good part of the core audience that Shits and Gigs had at that time were pretty much black British women and black women in the diaspora. Once those things started coming out, there was a lot of think pieces on TikTok about it. They started to lose a lot of that part of their core audience. Have they lost a lot of their audience? I'm not sure. Like I said, I didn't subscribe to them, but I did watch some of their reactions to certain videos and stuff like that. But they did lose a good chunk. They're still online. They're still moving forward. They apologized, but the apology was very they put it under the guise that they were afraid to say anything. So Andrew Schulz comes back and says, no, it wasn't the fact that they were afraid. They asked me to take out a lot of things on that podcast that they didn't want to be shown. He said, but that particular part, they didn't have no problem with. So I don't understand why they're acting like they have a problem now. So he kind of called them out on that. So then we just speed up to what's going on right now. Excuse me. Again, y'all hit that like button. We speed up to what's going on right now. So Kendrick Lamar is having his 2024 is his year. He's having a run. He just put out an album called G and X. And there is a song on there. I think it's the first one. I think it's Whacked Out Mural. I think that's where it comes off of. I don't remember. And he has a line on that thing that don't let no white comedian talk about no black woman, that's law. And the internet, TikTok, YouTube, a lot of think pieces by other social media influencers talking about that. Yes, Kendrick, make sure you tell them. Yes, Kendrick, da 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 da. You're telling these people this. And so I started looking at that and I'm like, okay. All right, because it was interesting to see the sector of people who are talking. Now, I got to go back and explain that. So when you get on here on the internet, and particularly, again, I'm coming from the perspective as a black woman. When you get on the internet, because your first instinct is to go with skin folks. You see people that look like you go to their pages to see what they're talking about. And very quickly, what I found is that you have a lot of black folks that have a lot of talents that are talking about a lot of different things. But what I do find, and I think if you've been following me and following my page and following my pop culture chats, you will find that there is a discourse between black women and black men about relationships and all this other stuff. And I call it the gender wars. Everybody has got this little stance over here and this little stance over here, and they're going back and forth with each other. Again, I want you all to be aware that basically what that is, as I said before, that people are using the social insecurities of black folks to make a profit off of. Okay. And does it affect all black people? No. But honey, they will pull us, you know that you're on those pages because number one, if they're talking about some submission, if they're talking about black women, and these are folks that look like us, whether they're women or whether they're men, if they're talking about submission, if they're talking about a Black woman's education, if they're talking about statistics and who's married and who's not married and all of these other stuff, and they mention things like 304s and single women. You know, if you're a single mom, you're the scourge of the earth. All this other stuff. What you bring into the table, men control marriage, women control sex, all of these little different things. If you hear any of those things, I advise you to come off those pages, right? Now, on those pages, there's some, a clock is right twice a day. So there are some things that are being said that I do think that are pertinent to have conversations about. But a lot of these people who have gotten these TikToks, and particularly doing TikTok lives, because that's when you can get gifts and all kinds of different things, and your page can be monetized. But it's always through those lives where I've seen a lot of TikTokers seem to be making a lot of money. And I mean, I'm telling you, they have marathon lives. There are people who literally go 12 hours on a live talking about rehashing that same thing. They'll do a topic. Should single moms wear bikini bathing suits? And then they'll go into this whole tirade about this, and all these other, all these other things, just back and forth and back and forth. And why am I mentioning that? Because again, most of it that I see, again, coming from my perspective, is the core thing that goes on is that they're talking about Black women. 8 to 80, dumb, cripple, or crazy. It doesn't matter. That's how they're making their money. And my thing has always been, we got to stop responding. We've got to stop trying to educate people on things that we think that they should be educated on. They know clearly what they're talking about. Whether they're Black men, whether they're white men, whether they're white women, Asian women, it doesn't matter. They clearly understand that. You Black women are not the core audience. They're just using you to rile up these people that they want to be their core audience. And if you think that you're their core audience, I want you to take a look at their hashtags. You'll find very quickly that you're not their core audience, because they don't hashtag you a bit. But you do end up on your they do end up on your FYP, and that's just TikTok talk. That's your search page, your whatever page they call it. So Andrew Schulz has come up a couple of times. So Kendrick Lamar had that little line. So Andrew Schulz, now mind you, there was no names put on there. He just said, "Don't let no white comedian talk about no Black woman. That's law." So let's get into what Andrew Schulz said initially about that.
Listen, rappers are telling comedians we need to be more respectful to women. So we gotta sit back and reflect.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They're the most pious group.
Listen, nobody has respected women more.
You look
through art.
Yes.
Than rappers, okay?
Absolutely.
So I completely understand how a rapper could look at a comedian telling a joke and be like, "Yo, y'all need to switch that shit up.
Yeah.
How dare y'all keep saying your wives are annoying? Be more like us, and bitches ain't nothing but hoes and tricks. I beat my bitch with a stick. What? You can lick on the nuts or suck the dick. I beat my bitch with a stick. What?
Did you just think of that?
That's a real lyric.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a real lyric from music that protects women. And for decades protects women. And listen, right now the guy on top, Kung Fu Kenny.
He is the guy on top.
He is the guy.
He is making sure that comedians, he put a law in.
Yeah.
He put a law in place. All right, let's see the exact line, okay? Don't let no white comedian talk about no Black woman. That's law. Now I understand why he's doing a comedy with the South Park creators.
Oh, that makes
Because
sense.
he appreciates white comedians that make fun of Black people.
There you go.
And they've done that brilliantly for decades.
Yeah, that's true.
And he would never want to, break one of his own laws.
No, that's true.
I mean, didn't they have a character called Token on the South Park show?
Yeah, they do.
Which I'm sure Kendrick is a big fan of.
That's true.
The N-words that being groomed slide on both of them. Whoa, that seems like a call to violence.
It does.
Why would he call to, if he's about protecting Black people, why would the call to violence be towards the Black dudes, not the white guy making the joke.
Well, you gotta understand.
What?
Well, no. You gotta understand.
I snitch. I cooperate. I tell.
Yeah, litigation.
Okay? You go squabble up in a jail cell.
Here's what you gotta understand about Kendrick. It's very important to him to protect black women. That's why he's never done a song with an abuser confirmed. He's never done a song with anybody that's suspected of abuse. He's never threatened to remove his music from Spotify because they removed R. Kelly's music, who for sure and held captive underage black women.
Hold on.
This is all very important to Kendrick.
Wait, just let me understand what's going on here, because I think that you're using sarcasm as a comedic device.
It is a comedic device.
But you're so fucking smart right now that I don't know if you're serious or making jokes. Are you saying that Kendrick Lamar put it on wax that he is protecting black women from white comedians' jokes, but not the kidnapping, molestation, and
Oh, yeah.
of R. Kelly? And in actually, reality, he would take his own music off Spotify to protect R. Kelly?
Yeah.
Someone who's kidnapped,
A sexual
molested,
predator? Yeah.
and black women?
Oof, children.
Are you saying that he's done songs with other men who have potentially put hands on black
Not
women?
potentially, confirmed.
Wait a minute, convicted?
Yeah, I don't know what you call Chris Brown, but yeah, whatever that is.
It's not crazy. Everybody gets these jokes over here. I think we should take Kendrick to Wicked.
That'd be fun.
I'm going to dress up as Elphaba.
Okay.
What should we dress Kendrick up as? The Munchkin guy?
The lollipop king?
No, the Munchkin.
Yeah,
the
what's
guy
it?
who married Bach. That's Bach.
Yeah.
All right. So you heard that particular clip from Andrew Schulz. Now, I wanted to show that because I clearly wanted to talk about that part and what is understood. And here's what understood. I think Malcolm X said it best. The least protected woman is the black woman. Now, I've heard all of this discourse online, and particularly from some black men. Now, don't mishear me. Oh, he can't say that. He can't talk like this. He's talking real greasy and all this other stuff. Who is he to say anything? Now, I showed that clip first because I wanted to show that when it came to that particular clip, there was really no big discourse about it. I did not hear. And again, if you do have those things, please show them to me. I am very much aware that there are black men that love black women and they will stand 2 and 3 toes down for black women. That is not what I'm saying. I am saying that there is a group of black folk, and I know people are going to get upset, but from me, my perspective as seeing when I do see this, and this is particularly a lot of black men, that in different companies, they love to talk about or disregard or talk with disdain about black women. I've seen it mostly, particularly when you have black men who date outside of their ethnic and their racial makeup. When they go to these partners, they are talking about us. It's not about their partnership and the love that they have for that particular partnership that they have. They always seem to want to bring us as black women into those conversations. Like, see, they're upset and they're mad because, again, first we're too fast, we're too sexually free, we're too educated, we don't submit, we wear the wrong clothes, we don't know how to act in different situations, we spend too much money with all of this luxury stuff. We want men to take care of us. You always want, we don't want to go 50-50. All of these little talking points. Now, there are women in other racial makeup and other ethnic makeup that will have the same kind of stuff. It's okay for them. But for Black American women, it's not okay. People like for Black American women, whether you are, as far as it doesn't even matter what part of where you stand, what racial makeup or whatever part of the diaspora that you're from, a Black American woman is always supposed to be in support, in working, quote unquote, ride or die for you. There's always got to be a labor put forth in regards to Black women. And so for that particular part of the conversation, there wasn't very big discourse. And the reason why is because there are Black folks that feel very comfortable going outside, going to other spaces, talking about Black women in that manner. Now, you saw how he was talking, because there was a point that he made, and I don't know if anybody caught that. He's like, oh, you've got these rappers talking about protecting Black women. Now, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper, so he falls up into this thing, whether you like his music or not, whoever you like or not. However, rappers have known to come online and to talk about whether or not that they're going to kill each other, or whether or not that they are going to grape and pillage through their neighborhood, calling women bitches and hoes. All of these things. This is what's in the music. Are there rappers that don't discuss that? Absolutely. But what is pushed forth by mainstream radio, record companies, and everything like that is the debauchery. You can disagree with it or not, but it is the truth. Look back in the past 15 years and look at your favorite rap song and watch in that rap song where a Black woman is called a hoe, a bitch, she's overly sexualized, or anything. Or if they're talking about the men, they're talking about shoot them up, hoot them up, and all this other stuff. Even when you talk with men that have podcasts, the men that are Black men that are celebrated are the Black men that do the god-awful stuff to women. The men that are Black men are celebrated, people, because Jay-Z even said it. He respects the guy with the gun rather than the person that got shot. So there's a lot of that type of stuff that goes on in rap music, and which is commercialized over the past 15, almost 20 years, coming into the 2000s. Materialistic, everybody wants a Gucci, a Louis, and all of these little different things. They want all of these different brands and stuff like that, even though these brands talk about you and they take your money, and they also make you kiss their behinds as well. It's a whole lot of stuff. But he made that point that it was very interesting that a rapper would say that, and people will get up into arms, be like, oh, well, Kendrick is it. But when you look at rappers in the totality, they're out here talking about that. When you get on the internet, you hear a lot of Black men talking about Black women as if we are beneath their feet. So I was looking at that and I was like, oh, okay, because I hadn't seen too much of that discourse going on. What's really, really going on? I'm thinking somebody should be saying something. No, this is where I have seen that the discourse was happening in regards to the Black zeitgeist, where everybody was having an issue and having a problem. Let me go through here. Let me go through my bookmarks really quick. All right. Let me share my screen. All right. So let's see if I can restart this.
Like, first of all, Kendrick's people and the gang affiliate, everybody, his security, they will kill me. They will destroy me. They'll find me in the street. They'll fucking cut me up. They'll shoot. They'll do whatever. I'm not a tough guy. Y'all do. But just Kendrick, I would make love to him. And there's nothing he could do about it. Just Kendrick Lamar, I would make love to him. And the only thing that he could do is decide if it's consensual or not. That's the only thing he could do. If it's me and Kendrick, this is about physics. It's about physics. I don't even know if I'll get hard. But if we're in a cell, there's a chance that if we're in a cell and we're bored and we done tattooing each other, whatever you do in the cell, and we ran out of board games and we did all the other things, we cleaned everything, and I'm like, man, I might as well fuck you. There's nothing he could physically do to stop that besides put his legs in the air and choose a position. Maybe
Mark,
I let him choose a
why
position.
Why are you pulling this picture up, Mark? Why are you doing this?
Look, put up that picture of him and Travis Kelce's girl. Look at that shit.
Oh my God, dude, that's unbelievable.
Yo, I'll be honest. I would go so far as to say I don't think he could stop most people on the planet from having sex with him. Like the only reason he got secure.
Now you hear what he's speaking about, okay? You hear about how he is speaking. You hear how, again, look at the panel. A representation of men across this planet. Look at the panel. Listen to how the panel are going. They all seem very comfortable in the laughter. Are they comedians? I guess so. But let's continue.
Security is to stop people from having sex with him whenever he wants. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people who could fuck me against my will. I was in an elevator once with this drag queen, and this motherfucker was like 6'5".
Oh, yeah.
And we're in the elevator, and we're going down. I'm like, yo, if he wanted to take it, I got to cause a ruckus or something like that. Like, I got to have my pants. I got to do something.
Yeah.
I know with Kendrick that he's talking a lot of shit, but if it came down to it, I could put him on my lap. I could feed him a bottle. I could put him on my lap. I could feed him a bottle and make love to him if I wanted to, and there's nothing he could do about it. I might not be hard. Dick might just slap soft against his butt. I could be romantic with him, and there's nothing he could do about it, to the point, like, I think I'm so charming, he would just fall into it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think he would just be so charmed. He would be like, damn, like, whap, 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 whap. Let me suck it up. You want to talk about another album called Damn. Be humble. Sit down. Reincarnated. Ask I penetrated. Listen, but in all seriousness, we love Kendrick Lamar, our woke king. And I think we're gonna do our best to abide by his. I don't know what his rules are about, like, me having sex with him if we're in a room together.
I don't think you'd want that.
All right. So we saw that. Now, that's what folks are up in arms about. And I have seen so many think pieces. Now, I will tell you, I've seen these think pieces about from Black men. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he said that. Why would any man want to talk about having sex with another man and talk about dominating him and all this other stuff? You understand it there. But when women try to explain to you all about that, you don't seem to understand. But you clearly understand when it has something to do with a white man trying to dominate you sexually, or trying to belittle you, or buck break you in that particular sense. You understand all of this stuff. So then when you go back to the initial video that I saw, you can't seem to understand, well, that's a problem. So, Pam, what are you saying? I'm saying they both are problems. But when you talk about the moral authority, Black men, you cannot have that moral authority if you are also joining in on them reindeer games. You're talking about your Black women and allowing, and to the point that it sounds real greasy. And then you think that now you're going to come back and say, oh, this Black man, you can't be talking about the Black women. Yes, he can, because they hear you speak on it. They know that you don't speak on their women like that. You respect their women. You don't talk about those white women in that way, even though the white women are probably, if you look at it on the whole, the way that they are raised, they have more danger for you than any other. They have a lot of danger for you. You're with Black women, you all have talked about the most that your feelings get hurt. You get with white women, a lot of you all lose your careers. And sometimes a lot of you all, you lose your lives. But you don't disrespect their women, and they won't allow for you to disrespect their women. But you all allow anybody, even within the diaspora, and I'm talking about Black American men in the diaspora, or you allow people other communities to disrespect your women. And then you turn around and you say, well, we should be leaders. If you cannot protect the vulnerable in your community, who do you think is going to allow for you to lead? And miss me, do not mishear me, because a lot of people want to mishear you and say, oh, well, you're talking about all black men. No. But there is that group of black men that are so loud that they make us all seem messed up. So in this whole discourse, Andrew Schulz has brought out the fact that he's going to continue to talk about black women any kind of way that he wants to, because who's going to check him, boo? You see how he, when he felt disrespected by Kung Fu Kenny, he wasn't going to go to Kung Fu Kenny and stand to him man to man and say, look, I don't appreciate you telling me that. No, you know how he wants to tell a black man that he is in authority of him? Is he talks about having sex with him. He talks about buck breaking this man. And everybody thought that was funny on that panel. And you do see people that are skin folks that were on that panel giggling the hardest, which makes them feel comfortable. But I bet you if he said something to that Asian guy about one of his women, it would have been a problem. If you'd have said something about Andrew Schultz's wife, it would have been a problem. Food for thought. Food for thought. It's both a problem. But who has the moral authority to then talk about, oh, well, you can't say that, or you can't talk about that? Black woman's perspective is not black men online. Because you all talk about us, some of you all talk about us like we are just beneath the dirt. I don't expect anybody, other people, they talk about us like we're beneath the dirt. So how are you having moral authority then to try to check Andrew Schulz? You're not even checking each other. I got a couple of more videos. There are a couple of perspectives that were interesting to me that I do want to share with you. And then I'm going to go ahead and in this particular video. So let's go with this young man. He had a perspective that I thought was interesting that I want to share. So let me do this, give him his light.
Andrew Schulz said he'd fuck Kendrick Lamar, and yes, it's deeper than you think. My original video was actually 4 minutes long, but I stopped myself and I said I didn't see the full clip. Maybe if I watched the full clip, I could understand it more. Maybe it's not as severe as I think. I watched the full clip and all I did was reaffirm my suspicions. Well, not even suspicions, just what I kind of already figured in the first place. But the use of the emasculation of black men using sexual violence or homosexuality as a form of comedy has always been around. And in this case, he's just using this comedy, the shock value, to mask the fact that the only thing he has over Kendrick to dominate him is sexual violence. Because the thing with weak men, the only thing they can use to prove that they are above someone is sex. That's it. Because they have no strength, they have no spirit, they have no courage, they only have no money, no resources, no skills. A weak man only has that left as a means of obtaining power over someone. And so what we're seeing is just a chilling confession from a very weak man. He didn't even say a name in the song. And you get on your podcast sore as a bitch talking about how, oh, he couldn't even have a choice in the positions I put him in. Most people could probably fuck on him. Damn, you that sore? Are you mad he didn't say your name? Like, what is this? Because I'm not gonna lie, with all this talk, it seems like he the one that want Kendrick meat in his mouth. And I don't even mean to say this as if he's like a closeted homosexual, but it's like, what message are you trying to convey to your audience that you want? Because it sounds like you want Kendrick. And I don't even want to steer it out of line, but people do debate the idea of buck breaking, the practice of white slave masters of emasculating the biggest black man on the plantation in front of the plantation to, I guess, kind of demotivate them. You know, like y'all's biggest nigga done been fucked by me, so y'all can't do shit about it. And honestly, considering that when I tried to look it up, the only source I could find was a documentary made by, I think, Tariq Nasheed. The thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if that level of violence was used on African enslaved people. I mean, sexual violence has been used to establish dominance. It was for sure used on our women. So do you really think you put it past white men to fuck us? They were already eating us. Did they not turn it into like furniture or a purse? There was a motherfucker keeping his ear. So the idea of I guess, brutalizing the black man's body to establish power over him, that's always been a thing. And you could say this is just under the guise of comedy, but considering what provoked it, you could say it wasn't anything sexual. But for him to take it to that extent and use comedy to veil that, it's disgusting. And I don't even want to be the type to be like, you got to kill that nigga for it. But the United Healthcare CEO would not be the only motherfucker getting walked down in broad daylight if I watched a clip of a white man say that he basically would fuck me. And it wouldn't matter what I do about it. Because who are you? What the fuck?
All right, you saw that particular perspective, and I'm going to show you another perspective, and then I'm gonna get on off of here, get my conclusions, and get on off here. So hold on just one moment. And shout out to these content creators. Their names was on the TikTok, so I see that if you like what you see in regards to these content creators, please go support them if you like. I have like several of them, but I didn't want to go over all of them like that. But there are content creators where I just pulled information and stuff from. So hold on just one moment.
So y'all probably not gonna like what I'm getting ready to say as usual, but y'all know your girl don't fuck with groupthink, okay? So I'm finna talk about this whole situation that's going on with Andrew Schulz and Kendrick Lamar. So I've been seeing takes that's talking about like, Andrew was really triggered by what Kendrick said. First of all, we grown as fuck. We know it's subliminal, okay? We know when somebody throw a sub, and rap often, alludes to other things, okay? So we know why the fuck Andrew fucking responded, because he was in a scandal for being a white comedian that said something that black women did not like. So here's the part where y'all not gonna like, okay? I always found it weird that I am expected, okay, as a black woman, to be more offended by things that a white man says over things that a black man says, okay? Because honestly and truthfully, I don't feel like white people owe me shit, right? I feel like first and foremost, the person who should have consideration, concern for my feelings as a black woman, or any black woman's feelings or black person's feelings, should be a black person. That's number fucking one, okay? So, everything that Andrew said was facts. I ain't gonna hold you. Everything that man said, sadly, was fucking facts. And as a black historian, I got to keep it real. Black leaders, black liberation, historically, Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, et cetera, been trying to tell y'all this shit. They been trying to tell y'all this shit. Malcolm X said, the black man will never have respect until he can respect his own women. Huey P. Newton said, okay, in his speech that he did in 1970 in regards to the LGBTQ liberation movement and the women's liberation movement, that sometimes we want to hit a woman in her mouth to make her shut up so that she does not castrate us and take the nuts that we didn't have to begin with. When Malcolm X said the most disrespected woman in America is the black woman, the most neglected woman in America is the black woman, he was literally talking about not only the white man and his treatment of black women, he was also talking to black men and their treatment of black women. Malcolm X said, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. Malcolm X said, you're not to be so blind with patriotism that you can't face reality. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it. So, you cannot go and G-check other communities, okay, about black women, what they have to say about black women and their treatment of black women, if your own house ain't right, right? As my granny say, sweep around your own front door first. And basically, as triggering and as hurtful as it is, out of all of what he said, The gist of what Andrew was saying was get your own fucking house in order before you go demanding things of other people. And he's right. And he's right. We have watched, countless podcasts. I've been on social media since 2017 as a content creator, and I started on YouTube. And I remember people like Sergeant Willie Pete, who used to drag black women from the rooter to the tutor. People like Tommy Sotomayor, who used to drag black women from the rooter to the tutor. It became a...
Okay. We're not going to go in because I didn't realize she was just calling names, and I don't want it to be where I'm calling out creators and stuff like that. So I apologize if there are creators that were called out because, like I said, I'm not familiar with some of these people that she was. I know Tommy Sotomayor. I'm not familiar with the other people, so I'm not familiar with their content, and I don't want it to be that I'm over here bashing people that I don't follow. I don't really know too much about. So I wanted to leave with this. And one of the things that I think that she made, that the point that she made, and that other young man made at the end, that were very points to me, that calling people out in other communities when we don't call each other out in regards to, hey, or come to some understanding. That if you got an issue and a problem with a black woman, you talk to that black woman face to face. If you got an issue and problem with a black man, you talk to that black man face to face. You keep it off the internet. You keep it out of other communities. You do not allow other communities to talk about black men. You do not allow other communities to talk about black women. You protect that. I do understand right is right and wrong is wrong. But if you want people to respect you out here in this world, you've got to protect and respect the least of you. I'm not saying that you have to agree with it, but we got to take care of our house. It's our job to clean our house. That's our job as black folk. And regardless of what ethnicity that you fall up under, whether you are Black American, whether you are from the continent, whether you all are from the Caribbean, wherever it is that you are from as black folk, as Africans, it's your job to protect your house. Don't go selling up somebody else's door without making sure and talking about how they're doing this stuff if we're not keeping your house clean. And you can't have all the crap piled up in your house where it's difficult for you to close your door and then get mad when somebody else talks about it, but you haven't established a way that you're cleaning us as Black Americans are cleaning our own homes. So I would just tell you this. You got an issue and a problem with someone, take it up with them face to face. That's how you settle that. Take it up with them face to face. Let's make a habit of, if you don't have anything nice to say about anybody, don't say anything at all. If you're talking about people and you're doing these things, please try to make it in a sense that you are educating instead of judging or anything like that. Is that hard? Of course it is. It's easy to criticize than it is to speak to somebody with love. And speaking to somebody with love doesn't mean that you agree with what they're saying or anything like that. You're just explaining to them how their actions are not only affecting them, but how their actions are affecting you. And again, go to them face to face. I don't know if we have, as Black folks, this moral authority to talk about other people talking about when we don't clean up what we got to clean up. We're not cleaning up or calling out these rappers for talking about women the way that they're talking about women. We're not talking to the Black men or the Black women that have disdain for other Black men and Black women. Black folks, you go to that person face to face. You got a problem with somebody. Don't bring it to the internet. Go face to face. If you can't get to them and you don't see that there's going to be a resolution, then you're going to have to learn how to just cut that off. Forget it. Let it go. Is that easy? No. But that's about having skills about prioritizing yourself. Understand what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you angry. Cycle through your emotions. That's what emotional intelligence is about. It's not telling you not to have an emotion, it's how you cycle through those emotions. If what that person did is not going to cause for you for you to stop what your life and your goals and your things, cut them off and keep it moving. But if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, talk to them face to face. Don't put it out here on this internet. Check your brother, check your sister, check your cousin, check your auntie, check your uncle, check your grandma, your grandpa, your mom and dad. Do that face to face. I'm not saying being disrespectful. I said check. Until those things happen, I do not think that we can have the moral authority to be going off on somebody about what they're saying about stuff if we're not willing to check we're not even to check ourselves. We're not willing to check the stuff that we need to. And now this is coming from my perspective. Y'all tell me what you think. What do you think about Andrew Schulz talking about Kendrick Lamar and how he would basically buck break him if he was in thing because of the fact that he's short? And y'all stop these short jokes. Y'all stop it. But because he's short and he's small and he wears a size 7 shoe. What do you think about him checking basically black men about talking about black women? Because he wants to be able to continue to talk about black women the way he wants to talk about them. And he has had carte blanche because black men sit in his presence and allow it. Black women, you've got to stop engaging these people when they're talking about you in such a manner. Stop making videos about it. Stop stitching, stop duetting, and I'm talking TikTok talk now. Stop it. Whether you want to realize it or not, Black American people, and you will have people in the diaspora that will tell you that you don't have a culture, you don't know what's going, because you don't know where you come from, and all of this bull crap, because all that stuff is just white supremacy talk from their countries talking down on them, because those white people will tell them that they don't know where they come from. So now they're taking pride. Oh, I know I'm from Nigeria, I know I'm from Cameroon, I know I'm from Zimbabwe, I know I'm from Kenya, I know I'm from South Africa, all of those different things, right? They understand 400, now we're going into almost 500 years ago about slavery and how we were enslaved for 400, generation after generation after generation. You could probably go back 25 generations. And then you think that somebody is going to know that they were from Kenya, Cameroon, or wherever it is that they were, where the enslaved people were removed from. It's not important. If a Black American tells you they're from Cleveland, they're from Cleveland. If they tell you they're from LA, they're from LA. If they tell you they're from Alabama, Georgia, Florida, whatever, that's where they're from, because they can probably go back 8, 9, 10 generations, and that's where their people are from. Because some of you all in the diaspora seem to believe that, oh, well, the people from Nigeria were taken to Ohio. Oh, well, the people from Cameroon were taken to Florida. No, they were on plantations. And all these people, regardless of your ethnic makeup, whatever tribe you came from, they were all mixed, matched, and molded together. So stop it. But anyway, my whole point is, can we have that moral authority when we don't have our own house cleansed? And I will tell you, until we clean our house, and my suggestion for all of that is, you got a problem with somebody, you take it up with that person face to face. If you can't do it, then leave it alone. Hey, Blue. Yeah, I'm late streaming. I just had to get this Andrew Schulz stuff, the way I feel about it, off my chest. But please go back and watch the video and you tell me what your thoughts are. But again, if you can't clean your own house up and you can't talk to that person that you feel offended by face to face, don't go back and forth with them online, because all you're doing two things. You're generating them an income off of your pain and your suffering, and they don't care. That's the whole thing. So for you young ladies that say the old women don't want to tell you nothing or teach you anything or talk about anything, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. This is how I'm going to put it down. Go back and watch the video. Y'all, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video if you care. Again, the title of this video was Moral Authority, the Andrew Schulz versus Kendrick Lamar versus black male podcasters. Go back through there and tell me what you think. I'm open to hear what you all have to say. Put it down in the comments, all right? All right. We do this every week. Y'all, please share this video. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell a coworker, tell that heifer that you cannot stand that I'm over here making these videos, child. And as always, people, bye-bye.